Hey everyone, it's Paige, and today I'm going to talk about two of my favorite things, which are book signings and book cons. Book events, book conventions, bookish things, book stuff! Yay! Okay, let's talk about the first one, which is book signings. So I have been to a ton of book signings. Like, I'd probably say that maybe a quarter or like a third of all the books on my shelves are signed by the authors, and I love going to book signings. They're so much fun. So here are my top tips, tricks, and things that you should bring to the book signings. So tip number one is take a friend with you. Sometimes they can get kind of boring because like if you have to wait in a really long line, you know, and you're just kind of standing there. You could bring a book with you. I always try to at least, you know, bring another book with me. Or, you know, I have a bunch of books on my phone that I could read, or that's sometimes when I tweet the most is when I'm standing in lines, so you could do that too. But otherwise, yeah, take a friend with you. When I lived in Colorado, I took my friend Sam with me all the time, and she took me, and we just went and took a bunch of book signings by storm. We had so much fun, and I really miss her now that I can't go to book signings with her. That sucks. And then like a subscript of that tip, I would say if you're on Twitter, Instagram, any of like social medias like that, shout it out there that you're going. I like to tag the author themselves because then, you know, when you introduce yourself, there's always that hope that maybe they saw your tweet and they'll be like, oh, aren't you so-and-so? Which has happened to me a couple times and is really like a warm and fuzzy feeling. The second being that other people might see that you're going and they'll be like, oh, I'm here too and I'm wearing blah, blah, blah. What I like to tell people is either what I'm wearing or which is a really discernible feature, is that, you know, I have my sunflower tattoos so that they can find me that way. And tell them, like, come and introduce yourself and, like, you know, we'll talk books and, you know, just have a ton of fun. And then the other being, sometimes it's helpful also to tag the event itself, so, like, whoever's hosting the event, because then, you know, they'll give, like, a thanks or they'll retweet you or whatever. I've had event places retweet me and repost my pictures on Instagram, so it's just a good way to kind of, like, spread your brand out there. So let's talk about other physical things you should bring. I always like going to book signings and taking a nice big tote bag with me filled with my like stash of important things to bring. So let's open this up and see what's in here. Also, another sub tip, what's really fun is like knowing which publisher the author is published under and taking their tote bag, because then if their agent is there or, you know, someone from the company, they might like see it and be like, oh, hey, you know, it's like a good conversation starter and a good way, again, to like brand yourself and put yourself out there. My favorite one that I like to take around is the novel tote bag, just because it's so eye-catching and really eye-popping and really fun. I really like this one. Obviously, the first thing you should bring is the book itself. What I recommend is putting them in a book sleeve so they don't get damaged, because, you know, when you're walking around a lot, your bag might get bumped by people, or like if something spills on it. It's just a good way to like keep your books protected. Just a little side note, my mom and my sister make these, and they made this one for me, and you can find a link down below if you want to get your own book sleeve. They're handmade, super high quality, just really awesome. So then you want to obviously bring the book itself that you want to have signed. This is just an example. Then you can decide, like, do you want the book personalized or not? You know, I personally have found nowadays that I don't like to get them personalized just because I trade and sell my books so much. Or unless the book itself is like something really important to me, like I have a couple of my book thieves signed with my name. Otherwise, I don't really like to get them personalized, and I've gotten mixed reactions on that from authors. I had one author in particular who like straight up said to me, are you gonna sell this online after I sign it? And I was kind of like, okay, well, yeah, now I am, because that was like a horrible thing to say to me. I wasn't at the time, but it was just like so jarring. I was like, why would you say that? But other authors, most of the time, I mean, like, especially if it's a really popular author and they have a really long line anyway, they're, I think, almost thankful for it, because they can just sign and then done. Okay, so another thing that you should bring, something I highly recommend, is business cards. So I just got this little like tin thing at the dollar store or something, and I just packed this thing full of business cards. You never know who you're going to talk to, who you're going to see. A great way to spread your brand. I like to give at least 2 to the author themselves, just in case they lose one or whatever. If they have an agent there, I like to pass one along to them as well. The bookstore or event place itself, I also like to give them business cards just in case they have any opportunities in the future. If you're talking to people in line, it's a great way to say like, hey, like, I run a book blog, and if you really like reading, you should check it out. Here you go. Just a great way to spread yourself around, kind of, and let people know where you are online, and then, you know, if you strike up a friendship, they can check you out and like get in contact with you, so that's always nice. Also, aren't these business cards just fab? My sister made them for me. They're really awesome. Another 3 things that I think is really important to bring, and a lot of people forget about this, is water, Advil, and snacks. Water, number 1. I find that at a lot of book signings, they're often inside and really hot, and there's a lot of people in there, and you just get like really exhausted. And if you're there for a really long time, you know, you kind of get dehydrated, or if you're like really excited, like I get sometimes, you get this like really intense adrenaline rush, and you need water to, you know, combat that. And then Advil is always good to bring too. You never know if you're gonna get a headache. I sometimes really get intense headaches at signings. Again, I think because of the adrenaline rush, but you know, if there's like a huge temperature flux, like when I lived in Denver, you know, you'd go from like outside to literally like freezing to inside where it's like really hot. It just kind of screws with like my cosmology, biology, mixology. That's for drinks. And then snacks too. There are some signings where I've been there for like up to 5 hours. There are some signings where I've only been there for like 10 minutes. So you never know how long you're going to be there, if you're going to get hungry. I also think it's always a great idea too to bring a tote bag, because you never know what the author or the event itself might be giving away as far as swag, or you know, if you win a book or something, because I know a lot of places like give books away. Then you have a place to put it in. Yay! So the second thing I want to talk about is bookish events, which are sometimes really intense, and sometimes they're really low-key, so I'm just going to kind of talk about tips and tricks for those as well. So the 2 most recent book events I went to was the LA Times Festival of Books and Y'all West, and they were completely different from each other. So I feel like most book events go into 2 categories: the really low-key or the really intense, really like go type of event. LA Times Festival of Books was a very low-key event. There was obviously like a ton of publishers there, mostly authors, so that was an event where I got like a ton of stuff signed. I picked up some ARCs, but it was more important for me to like get stuff signed by authors. There was a lot of swag being given away, so again, it was nice to have tote bags on, or like tote bags were being given away to hold the swag, which was nice. That event was also outside, so it was really important to wear sunscreen, which is another recommendation if you're gonna, you know, go to a signing or a bookish event. Most events are outside, so I highly recommend wearing comfortable shoes, lightweight clothing, wearing sunscreen, definitely taking water, and definitely taking a friend for this. So I have a sister, obviously, who I drag to all of the bookish events that I try to go to, just because, 1, she can help me hold most of the stuff that I get or that I need to get signed, and 2, it's just really fun to like share the experience with someone. You know, you can like look at the schedules that are handed out and be like, oh, where should we go next? Or like if they want to see something really cool, and then you might be exposed to like something that you would have gone to before. So like when my sister and I went to LA Times Festival of Books, we went and saw this guy talk who was talking a lot about MLB and like baseball and stuff, and I never would have gone on my own if she hadn't been there, but it was like really interesting. And again, for those events, I recommend taking stuff that you would to signings. So the books that you need to get signed, if you want to get any books signed, water, meds, snacks, business cards. Business cards are essential for bookish events because you're going to be talking to tons of people. There's going to be usually like a ton of industry people there. It's always good to present yourself in a very professional, well-maintained manner. I think that a lot of people go to events for one of 2 reasons: either to kind of market themselves and pick up stuff, or to see authors and grab ARCs and whatever. And like either one is fine. You can take, you know, events by storm however you want. I like to kind of do a combination of both, but I really like to present myself in a manner that is professional and not kind of like blah the entire time. Like I think there's a time and place to like freak out, and that's not in front of industry people if you want to like have your brand, you know, kind of spread around, because they are going to remember people who are professional. And if you're acting like really immature, I feel like they're just gonna like, they might not like remember you in the best way. But I'm also older than I think a lot of people who go to events. Like there are a lot of middle schoolers and high schoolers who go, And I've also been blogging for a really long time, so I think I've like established myself as a presence who is a little bit more professional. Like, I mean, you can just tell in my YouTube videos I'm not like running around and stuff. But for the events that are a little more disorganized and kind of crazy and wild, my number one recommendation is make a schedule. So if publishers announce beforehand, which they usually do on like Instagram and Twitter, of like, we're going to be giving this arc away at like 3 o'clock, or we're going to be giving this one away at 1:30. The best thing to do is make a spreadsheet of all the events that are going on and like label them by different publishers, and then like kind of color code so you can kind of cross-reference of like, okay, at 1 o'clock we need to go to the Penguin booth. At 2 o'clock we need to be at Simon & Teen. At 3 o'clock we need to be at Scholastic. Like, it's just a really easy way so you're not like running all over the place at the event. You can just like go, like boom, boom, boom. And then once you get to the event, you can kind of scope out the booths and figure out like where things are. Kind of get the lay of the land, see if they have any other schedules or announcements that they're going to be making, and just kind of like, you know, relax then. You don't have to be like, I need to be here in 10 minutes, but it's on the other side of campus and I can't get there. Bookish events are really fun too, because there's a lot of panels and stuff that you can go to. You can learn a lot of interesting things about authors, books, the publishing industry, writing. You can go and like hear a bunch of people speak and talk to authors, get really like close and intimate with them. Which sounds kind of funny, but you know, it's just a really great way to connect with people, especially if your favorite author is going to be there. My other recommendation is when you're talking to authors, like, be enthusiastic. If you have the opportunity to park on site the event, I highly recommend doing it. I know parking can be kind of expensive at these things, but what I like to do is cycle through like my tote bags and stuff. So if I'm getting things signed, I'll grab all the stuff that I need for the morning, put it in the car at like lunchtime, and then grab all the stuff I need for the afternoon. That way you're not carrying around just like, you know, huge, bulky tote bags that are really annoying to carry around. And then if you get a lot of stuff too, you can just go run and put it in the car. This is why it's good to have a buddy, because if they are not interested in like going to a panel or something, you can be like, hey, can you just go and run this to the car for me? Thanks. And I know a lot of places like BookCon in New York, they have the opportunity for you to ship books home just right to yourself from the event, and I highly recommend doing that too. But when I worked D23, they had that option too for like if people were buying a lot of stuff on the convention floor. You just like really don't want to carry around a bunch of stuff. It's kind of annoying, especially like if it's really hot, you know, and you're trying to get from one place to another. It's just kind of difficult. And of course, with all of this, most important thing is to have fun. Just go and have a great time. Otherwise, it's like, why are you there? Keep an open mind. Some people can be really pushy. Some people will try to jump the line. Know that, you know, we're all readers. We're all there for the same reason. We're all trying to talk to authors and get good books and, you know, have fun with each other. If you do go to one that's anywhere near Southern California, let me know, because I'm usually at them. Unfortunately, LA Times Festival of Books in Y'all West has already passed, so if I saw you there, hey. If I didn't, maybe next year. Maybe. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye! Check this out. I didn't realize I had this many totes, but I have Underline, Huffington Mifflin Harcourt, I think they're also Simon, Penguin, I Read YA, which is Scholastic, First in Line, which is the old, this is what Underline used to be, and The Novel, which is my favorite one. Ergo, I have too many totes. Oops. Stop emailing me! You know, for someone who doesn't really like pink that much, I have a lot of pink stuff in my collection. I don't know. I don't know. Writing! Authors are people too. Let's remember that.